Goodness me, it is good to be. It has been 16 days since we last posted an episode, which means by the
Oh,
time
you've been counting?
well, I've got it up right here.
No. You've been counting. We know you have.
Probably. It is going to be 3 weeks since we last posted. Next when we post this week. It has been a long time. We have had a lot of things going on. As you can see, I have moved. I've got a great new background. Connor's got some orange thing going on.
Orange thing. What are you talking about?
You look orange. I'm just saying.
It's because I got a light. See, look. Now about orange.
There you go. We're here. We're back. We are recording season 3, episode 39. The secondary transfer window, for the most part, is closed. It's time to review it and talk about winners and losers. That's basically it.
I could wrap this podcast up right now. I'm the winner and you're the loser. Done.
This is why nobody likes you. I've got tons of new scarves to show off, but I just want to take one more moment to appreciate the scarf wall. If you're watching, I'm just going to show it off.
He's got a problem.
It
if you can't
is.
tell.
This is what the dream is. The dream has been for one day to move into a place where I can just hang up all my scarves and see them every day. And we finally done it. We are at, I believe, 48 now. I'm 2 away from 50. So Martin's got to have another sale at some point. But before we dive into anything, Scarf of the Week is still here. We are 100 and whatever episodes in. We're still here.
Yes, we are. Well, if we're talking about a transfers episode, which I don't even know if you mentioned that yet, but I just probably spoiled it.
I did.
Well, I don't listen to you, so there's one of two choices here.
The upside down. Still upside down.
Upside down. Damn it. Here it is. Toronto FC, right side up. What do you got?
I think we are twinning on this scarf now. Can you guess who it is?
We're twinning on my scarf or yours?
On this one, the one that I've got in my hand.
Well, I think you were wearing a Dallas one earlier today, so I'm gonna guess Dallas.
I was. Pride of Texas.
Yes, we are. You copied my scarf.
The Pride of Texas with the logo in front. When MLS has a sale, you go and buy from MLS. So it is here. It is one of 6 new scarves that I'll need to show off at some point. But not all of them today. Maybe the fans watching can pick out some new ones here. If you see a new one, comment new. Yeah, look at that. Fan engagement right from the start.
Hold on.
Are you okay? Nice.
I commented new. I found one.
Very good.
Thank you.
We are going to randomize this up because going by East or West or alphabetical or reverse alphabetical is boring. So I put a randomizer together, and we are just going to dive right into it. Connor.
What if I find the randomizer boring?
Well, you are boring, so I didn't ask. Connor, you ready?
Nice.
You ready?
No, now I'm just upset.
I am glad that I can ruin your day.
You do it every day.
All right, here we go. This team is the top half of the Supporter Shield standings.
Oh, well, I mean,
don't look it up. Don't look it up. You got to go from memory.
Top half. I mean, that's so many teams, but I mean, obviously, it's still Columbus Crew.
They're barely up there, but that's not. It is Orlando City. So let's go ahead and dive in. Orlando City brought in 3 players this window: Nicholas Giacchini, the American international striker; Ivan Angulo on loan from Palmeiras; and Wilder Cartanega on loan from Al Ittihad, and also sent out Sylvester Vanderwater, never really got his feet going, Matthias Ayas to Racing Club, and also sent Sebastian Mendez to LAFC. Instant thoughts right now. What do you got?
I don't know too much about Ivan Angulo or Wilder Cartagena. So it's hard for me to say on how much of an impact they'll bring to the table, but assuming that they're not like some hidden superstar that I just don't know about, I would say not a ton has changed for Orlando. I think bringing in Giacchini is good. If Pato is hurt, which I think you'd said he was, right? Or is he not?
Pato did get himself hurt. I don't know for how long.
Yeah, so I don't think they made like LAFC, Toronto FC type signings. I don't think they got worse. I don't think they got a ton better, but maybe a little bit better. Uh, so yeah, I don't think no issues with their transfer window, I would say.
The Pato move, or the Pato injury rather. He is flying back to Brazil to have his surgery, so there's no time.
He's probably out for a little bit then.
My guess is his season's probably over. That being said, Orlando sitting in 10th place in the Supporter Shield standing, 5th place in the East with 26 games played, 30 goals for, -7 in your goal differential. Would have thought they would have gone a little bit more defensive here. So the Nicholas Giacchini gives you a little bit of depth now in the attack. Again, Pato got hurt right at the very end of this window, so you couldn't really predict that. But this is MLS 4.0, so you don't just do that. But
defense does not exist in 4.0.
Correct. But yeah, so he's you've got now this defensive midfielder that Wilder Cartagena, who is going to fill the role of Mendes, who didn't get a lot of time.
I don't understand this. What is with Orlando City and stockpiling defensive midfielders? Like, how many more do they need? They have Andres Perea, they have Cesar Araujo, they have Junior Urso, they had Sebastian Mendes. Obviously they let him go, but like, what is with stockpiling all these defensive mids?
Well, it's a move that is going to have to strengthen them, or it might be a move for the future. He played 2 games in MLS next, so
he's 27. He's not a move for the future. He's a move for the now.
It might be allowing people to be moved for the future, though. But anyways, so he's here. Again, I don't have an issue with it. They're pretty set in where they are. You've got Miami close to them. Actually even with them, and Columbus right behind them, and New England right behind them. Did they need to do a little bit more?
Yes.
Probably. I'm gonna go ahead and say that this was a failure of a window. I thought they would have gone a little bit more defensive. Right, you've got holes. You've really got one left back, a couple of right backs, but none of them are really. You've got.
I can't believe they don't have another left back. They had one left back since like the end of last season, and they just haven't brought someone in.
So they can go ahead and throw Schlegel out there. I know they have done so,
but why don't you just get a proper left back? Like, I don't. How hard could that be?
Yeah, and they apparently that's the way they're going to go with it. I'm not gonna argue it. I would have liked to see a little bit more defensive there. You know, you've got Antonio Carlos, Robin Janssen, who have been fantastic this year.
Yeah, but that's like it. There's no depth.
Right. So you would have liked to see a little bit there. But again, not a terrible window. I think Giacchini provides a different level of attack to players like Benji Michel or Tesho Akindele. It's just a different level that he can bring. And then Ivan Angulo on loan from Palmeiras. The Brazilian system turns out attackers like, I don't know. Give me a good comparison.
Like clockwork.
Great, I love it. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's pretty much a break even here. Vanderwater never really got going. Ayas never got going. Mendes really wasn't playing too much, so sending him over to LAFC to make room for Cartagena. Great.
I think it's a lose window for them. I don't think they did enough to keep up with the teams that are around them. I mean, they were like borderline a playoff team right now. Even though they're sitting in 5th, they have a game in hand on Columbus, so potentially could drop below them, in which case you're sitting sixth, and you have teams that are making a strong push to get into the playoffs, like a Toronto, potentially like an FCC, Chicago, New England. Like, I think you needed to do more. Obviously the team is like decent enough on paper that you're in a playoff position right now, but like we said, not a lot of depth in the back line. A couple of injuries and things start to fall apart. So I'm gonna say lose window for them. Or
Alrighty.
is that how we're classifying it? Is it like win window or
Yeah,
like
winner,
love
winner,
window?
loss, winner, loss.
Loss.
So you're gonna say loss. All right. This next team has a future Golden Boot winner.
Well, it can't be Chicago.
Yeah, you think? Yeah,
It's
you
got to be
think?
LAFC.
Stop it. Chicago Fire brought in Chris Mueller. This was outside of the window, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Gaga Slanina is out at the end of the year, and Chinoso Ofor to Montreal. Not a lot going for these guys, but for a team that is, are they dead last right now?
No, that would be DC United.
So they're right now. Oh wait, no. Then there's Orlando too. Don't worry about them. You got Chicago who are right near the bottom of the table and looking to make a push, and they sent a striker out the door and didn't bring anybody in. It's a loss. This is the type of move that people who don't watch MLS will, or this is the type of window, excuse me, that people don't watch MLS will be like, well, if you don't have pro rel, there's no incentive to spend money and get better. That's what Chicago just did. Chicago's at the bottom. They just grabbed 15 mil for Gaga Slanina, get him on loan for the end of the year, and they were just like, we'll be okay. We'll try next year.
Yeah, let's just save this money and try again at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's a valid point in this case. I mean, clearly based on this window, they didn't push very hard to like make this a team that can compete for the championship. And I'm not saying that like every team has to put together a team that's championship worthy every season. Like it's just not going to happen. Obviously, somebody has to lose, but like there's no threat of relegation, so they can just sell Gaga Slanina and be like, okay, we'll just try again next year with this boatload of money we have now.
Right. And again, this is the stuff that people will look at. Nobody will look at what LAFC are doing, things like that.
Yeah, Toronto, LAFC. There's a number of teams that are willing to spend money now.
Yeah, and they just needed to match it, and they didn't. It's a loss. It's kind of disappointing to see because you would have thought, oh man, this is going to be the, maybe they can push and close the gap because really, they're 2 games out of a playoffs. If they beat a few of the teams ahead of them, they're in a good spot. So you would have thought they would have sent it. Chris Mueller doing his good business, I think. Happy to see him come in, and he's done relatively well since joining the group. But you needed, and I think I told you you needed one more player. You needed one more difference maker on this side. They've been playing well, and they've got a generally good group, but you needed one more difference maker here in the side.
Yeah, no disagreements. I think, like you said, they prior to their last 2 games against Philly and NYC, they went 5 unbeaten, 4 wins, 1 draw. Like, and they put themselves in a position to be in the playoff chase. And then they backed it up by doing nothing in the transfer window. Like, you had a shot. Your team was riding the momentum. Go like, what better way to even throw more momentum at it than to go get another difference maker? You already have Shaqiri, who has shown bits that he can like definitely be a good difference maker in this league. Go get someone to help him out. Go get a lethal striker and put him up top. I know you spent some money on Shibilko this season, but you're not even playing him in the right position. So then go get someone who does play that position.
You got Chris Mueller, who's been their best player since arriving, 4 goals, 3 assists. Shaqiri, 4 goals, 6 assists. Gaston Jimenez has been relatively good. Chisos has been good. Federico Navarro joining for 5 mil this year has done well. Goat Wyatt Onsberg has been their best defender. Yikes. The kind of swing and a miss right now is Jairo Torres. Jairo Torres came in for 6 million. He really hasn't hit the ground running.
Does he even play?
He's got 13 appearances, 5 starts. But what you're going to see, I think this is going to be a prime example of the half season effect. You need a half season to get adjusted to the league. I think next year he's ready to break out. So that might also be why they're not spending. They know that they have a good team for next year. They just gotta wait it out.
I don't know. I don't know what they're waiting for on Torres. I mean, why bring him in? He's. It's not like he's like 18 years old. Like he's 22. He's worth 5.5 million on here. Why not give him a shot? He's got 5 starts in 26 games or however many they've played so far. What's the harm? Like you said, there's nothing to lose at this point. You can't get relegated. Just play him.
He's playing in the same spot as Mueller. That's why.
Yeah, but you had him before Chris Mueller was here, and you didn't play him.
I think he had visa issues getting over, if I remember correctly.
I thought he was here, but they just weren't playing him.
No, not that I know of. But anyways,
well then switch it around. Play Chris Mueller at striker, Shaqiri and Torres as your wingers. Put Shaqiri as a cam. I don't know. You could make it work.
You could, but I think I'm confident that the Chicago Fire team will be decent at some point in my lifetime. I just really hope it's soon because I keep banking on them.
The bar is through the floor. The bar is so low.
Yeah, like I said, they're young too, for the most part. John Duran, Brian Gutierrez, Carlos Terran, Federico Navarro, Miguel Navarro. I mean, you got players here to build off. Mauricio Pineda. You got players to build off of. I mean, the big address that they're going to have to do is a goalkeeper spot next season, and go from there. But the team, this team will be, but it's a loss for sure. This window's.
Yeah, I don't want to harp on this too much longer because we've been talking about them for a while already. But I mean, your difference makers right now are only getting another year older. Chicos is going to be 33 next season. Shaqiri is going to be 31 in like 2 months. Like these guys are your best players right now, and they're only getting older. I know there's a lot of young guys on this team, but how much of an impact are these young guys making right now? Like probably not enough. You're one young guy that was making a huge impact. He's gone.
Yeah. You're right. We should move on. It's a loss for Chicago. I think everybody knows that. Let's go to our friends in Charlotte. I'm not going to let you guess because I want to keep going.
Yeah, that's fine.
Charlotte making some early additions in Kerwin Vargas and Andres Shinyashiki, who's been absolutely phenomenal for them since joining from Colorado, and Nuno Santos from Benfica, all on permanence. They have lost Alan Franco, the midfielder who they signed in a little bit late, or rather on loan to Atletico Mineiro. They loaned him back to a different Brazilian team. Titi Ortiz is also gone. Where, if I can find him really quick, he was on loan from Club Tijuana. They waived him. They ended that. Christian McCoon was sent over to New England. And Sergio Ruiz, their first ever signing, was sent back to Granada. One of the things I will say about Charlotte is that they are recognizing things that don't work early and ending, which is something that we talked about, early in the existence of Charlotte, was how long are they going to harp on old ideas before they change, right? That idea of being able to move on from things and not be attached will be critical to their success. And I think you see that here. They're moving on from players. I mean, like I said, Riley McGree was signed from Adelaide United and transferred before he even had a foot in the country. Sergio Ruiz has been moved on. Alan Franco and Titi Ortiz and Christian McCoon all moved on. So a good sign to see them move on like that. Andres Shinyashiki's been great working with Shabilko up there. Do I think it's a win? Probably a wash, but I'd say yes. I'd say they won here. They did get a lot of allocation money for McCoon, and they were not working with some of the old players and moved them on. They found players that will fit the system. I think it's a win.
Do you think that they? I don't want to say that they like stopped trying to make a push for the playoffs at this point, but do you think these moves are like? I mean, you think it's a win, so I wouldn't say you think that they're like taking a step backwards, but to like shake things up at this point, do you think it's risking their shot at the playoffs? Obviously, they're outside looking in, so like worst case scenario is nothing really changes, but
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they're still trying to make things work. Not everybody's going to be LAFC. Not everybody's going to be Atlanta. I think they recognize that the players they brought in, with the coach that they brought in, now they've moved on from the coach. They moved on from the players that the coach wanted. They are basically restarting. They're not going to wait for the world to hand them things. They're going to go out and get it. So, no, I think it might mix things up, but I think it's mixing things up for the better long-term picture. That makes sense. They're not going to pull an Inter Miami and sit on 7 guys on DP contracts, get fined $100 billion, and have to be bad for the next 7 years.
yeah,
They,
they're not bad this year, so
but you know
um
what I mean, right? They're setting themselves up for success uh, quicker than slow.
I'm gonna say this one's a loss. I think I don't know. It feels just kind of quick to like not necessarily give up on these guys, but like to move them on already. It's been half a season. Like you said with Torres, like okay, he needs half a season to settle in. So these guys may have just been able to settle in and now they're out the door. And I don't really know what to expect from Nuno Santos because I don't think he ever played for Benfica's main team. I think he was just out on loan at another Portuguese team. Vargas seems like a signing for the future, and Shinishiki's been a great addition. Uh, I just don't think he is like an ultimate game changer that I feel like they're missing. I think they just need some game changing level playmaker or something like that. Add him in with Ben Bender and Swiderski. I think that would be great for this team. But
So,
what?
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. There are 2 people here who are missing from this list. One of
Okay.
them is here, and we accidentally deleted in Nathan Byrne. Nathan Byrne is a right back who played in the championship. He has about 200 appearances there, which fills a much needed hole for him. Um, the other one is not on MLS's list, so it's on them. Uh, Adelson Malanda is a 19-year-old center back who was a starter in the second division in France. So again, developing players for the future is also in this team's portfolio. And that's a good addition to have there, right? To learn under Corujo and to learn under Christian Fuchs is massive. You now have a right back who can fill that role in Mr. Burns, who will be a successful addition, I do believe. So there are 2 players that we didn't add as well. I'm still counting this as a win for me.
I'm still counting it as a loss. I think they are setting themselves up nice for the future. Like to put together if Nuno Santos does pan out, he's pretty young. Ben Bender, Vargas, Vinicius Mello, Malanda. So yeah, I do think that they are setting themselves up well for the future, but I feel like they had a chance to make a push for the playoffs in their first season. That'd be super exciting. Get the fans really engaged. They've done, I would say, much better than people had expected them to do. But then I feel like they didn't do enough in this window to really make that push for the playoffs. Like I think I don't think they have what it takes to make the playoffs at this point. The teams around them who are already they're already sitting out of the playoffs, and I think the teams around them have gotten stronger. And Toronto will 99% sure Toronto will pass them. In which case then they're sitting in 11th. And FCC and New England, both of them got stronger during this window. So it's going to be hard to move up. I think they kind of just, at this point, they're like, okay, let's just see what we can build for next season. Let's just try to put the pieces together and figure out what sticks, what doesn't.
I agree. I think it hurts them now, but it sets them up better for their 3-year plan. So I'm about it.
Well, I don't want to say it's a win based off of potential because I don't know what the potential is going to result in.
Well, I don't want you to say anything ever. So
okay, fair enough.
Moving on to the former Western Conference champions,
Colorado Rapids.
Colorado Rapids, hold please. Brought in Gustavo Vallecilla from Cincinnati, Giassi Zardes, of course, Sam Nicholson came back, Ralph Priso in a massive blockbuster trade with Toronto, Felipe Gutierrez on loan from Universidad. The attacking midfielder hasn't featured much so far. But out the door, Andre Shinyashiki, of course, we spoke about earlier. Nicholas Mesquida has been transferred out. And as previously mentioned, the Mark Anthony K blockbuster trade. If we're going to talk about Charlotte hurting their chances to be successful in the current season, then this is a loss for Colorado. And the reason why I'm flipping onto your side is because Charlotte is a first-year team. Colorado are trying to be competitive in a conference that they won last year.
Yeah.
So it looks like a massive step back. The Vallecilla trade from a Cincinnati team that was statistically the single worst defensive team in league history. Bad. Giassi Zardes, I'm okay with that trade. I think he fits well with Diego Rubio. Sam Nicholson, I always liked Sam Nicholson, even when he was playing for, back a couple years ago in this side. I don't know what he quite brings yet. I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch him play, especially against Red Bull when they beat us 5-4. We won't talk about that. Ralph Priso has great upside, long-term potential. Getting a $1 million player basically in this trade. And then Felipe Gutierrez adds a little bit of attacking creativity in the front. Andre Shinyashiki never really got it going in Colorado. Mesquida never really was able to break into the team this year. I think, if I'm looking correctly, just about 9 sub appearances, 100 minutes, never really could break into the team. And finally, the Mark Anthony K trade. So, by the way, Toronto absolutely fleeced this trade. Getting a player like Mark Anthony K to fit into that side right now is massive. We had talked about it a little bit being very rare for MLS teams to go win now, right? Win now transfers. This is a win now transfer for them. And for Colorado, we're okay with being below the line. We'll try again next year. So I think it's a loss.
I just don't understand what Colorado is going for here. Because I agree with you that the Mark Anthony K trade kind of signaled okay, we'll try again next season. But then majority of these transfers are for guys that are either turning 30 or are already going to the wrong side of 30, with the exception of Ralph Priso. So Vallecilla is also a bit young too, but like you said, he's coming from an FCC defense that has just been historically awful. Zardes is 30. He's going to be obviously only getting older at that point. Wrong side of 30. Sam Nicholson is 29. He's going to be turning 30 soon. Gutierrez is also, I think he's already on the wrong side of 30. Yeah, he's 31. He's going to turn 32 in 2 months. So I'm not sure what the direction of Colorado is. Do you look at this team and think because judging by their age, you would think, okay, they're gonna try to like go win now next season. But like, do you think this team on paper is good enough to be win now? I don't.
I yeah, I don't know because you've got players like Rubio and Zardes and Abubakar and Rosenberry and Jordan Lewis that can make a difference. Jack Price, who's having his worst season probably of his career right now. I believe maybe he was injured. He might have been. But you're right. It's an old team, and Lucas Estevez, one of their better attacking players early in the season, is only on loan. He'll be gone by the end of the year. So this team, and of course, they have my favorite goalkeeper of all time. Um, the team is underperforming, no doubt. They've got pieces to build off of, but they definitely need to get younger at some point because they're in trouble.
I think they have a lot of good MLS guys like Zardes, Rubio, Michael Barrios, Jordan Lewis, um, Jack Price. You know, like we were talking, Lalas Abubakar Keita. A lot of good MLS guys, but like I don't look at this team and think like, okay, they're going to be able to compete with LAFC. They're going to be able to compete with Toronto. They're going to be able to compete with who else? Seattle, Austin. Like I just don't. I don't think this team is competing with them. But like judging by all the players that they're bringing in and where they are in their career, this just feels like a team that is supposed to win now, and I just don't think that they can. So I don't really see what the direction is. And let me tell you, as an Atlanta fan, I totally understand what a directionless team looks like. So yeah, it's a lose window for me. I mean,
Yeah, this team isn't climbing above anybody in that playoff race right now. There's no way, unless everybody hits the best form of their career right now. They're not. So I agree with you. I don't think there's much going on there.
good, good.
A place where there is a lot of things going on up in the Great North.
Up in the Great North. Oh, is it the Toronto Maple Leafs?
It's your scarf. It's your scarf, bro.
It is my scarf.
Obviously, everybody who's anybody knows about the moves that these guys have made. Lorenzo Insigne, Domenico Crescito, Federico Bernardeschi, Mark Anthony Kay, and then also bringing in Daniil Henry, who we are big fans of, and Richie Larea back on loan from Nottingham Forest. Massive, 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 massive moves. However, to do that, they had to send out Alejandro Pasuelo, which is
For like chump change too.
for chump change for absolutely nothing. Miami fleeced that trade. Ralph Priso, high potential. MLS Defensive Player of the Year, Carlos Salcedo.
Your defensive player of the year lasted half a season at MLS.
That just goes to show you not everybody can make it. You know,
He was so good, he had to lead the league. It was just got to give the rest of the league a chance.
sorry, I had to answer that. And Jacob Schaffelberg on loan to Nashville. This is easy, right? An absolute loss. How dare you let go of Carlos Salcedo for any reason?
And
other
Jacob Schaffelberg, come on.
literally in
Didn't you see him at the start of the season? I'm
in
pretty
the
sure
month,
we picked him as like best of the week every
like
week.
4 weeks in a row.
Yeah, something like that.
These guys have done it right. This is how you do a mid-season transfer window. Unbelievable moves to get themselves from the bottom back into contention. Now they still have some work to do, but if this team makes the playoffs, this team wins MLS Cup. Don't at me.
I don't think they win MLS Cup, but I think that they had the best window. I think they had a better window than LAFC, despite LAFC getting all of the hype. Now, however, I will caveat that by saying, do I think Toronto is now the best team? No, far from it. This team is still not good defensively. I don't think Crescito is a great defender. He's going to be great going forward. I think he's already showed that. Center backs, you just lost Salcedo, who was supposed to be your guy in the back line. And now you have Luke McNaughton, Daniel Henry, who we like, but has also not been playing at all this season. Chris Mavinga and Shane O'Neill. I think it's great that you brought back Richie Larea, but I still think this team is going to be leaky at the back. Amazing going forward. I mean, MLS 4.0, they've full sent it. Like, there's no argument there. They've full sent MLS 4.0. And obviously, this window is a massive win. Like I said, I think it's the best win. It's the best window of any team, in my opinion.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, but I will say I do appreciate that they are going full win now. Like, it couldn't be more obvious that they are. Like, they're going full win now.
Which is what more teams need to do.
I appreciate
Need
it.
to go full win now because it is American sports. You're not
Unless you're gonna be a Dallas. I can allow a Dallas to continuously like pump out prospects, but you gotta like have a track record for it. Same thing with like Philly. Like,
Yeah.
but like someone like Colorado or something trying to like pump out prospects, like you have no history of it. Why are you trying to do that?
Well, no disagreements there. Absolutely massive dub. Maybe best window possible for sure.
Possibly best window. I would say arguably best window ever.
Maybe. This is your, before we move on, this is your weekly Mets update as future David Wright, Brett Beatty, has hit another home run for the New York Mets. Thank you.
Maybe his average is above 200 now.
Quiet.
No, I appreciate the home run.
Moving into the third best team in Texas.
The San Antonio Spurs.
El Dynamo. Very quiet. I didn't know half of these moves were created.
Because you're a fake fan.
Also, how did Chris Durkin go from? Never mind. Hector Herrera, we knew about. Thiago came in May. Pito Avila and Nelson Quinones on loan from Once Caldas. A few Dynamo 2 players in there. They lost Tyler Pasher. They waived him. He is now part of New York Red Bull. Nico Limone, he was waived. He wasn't much. Derek Jones was sent out, as was Chris Durkin, which he was never actually part of that team. Don't worry about it. Have yet to see Hector Herrera play, which is kind of sad. I want to watch him play. Kind of just a wash. I'm not quite sure what to say. They needed to do a lot more, right? They needed to go out and do something as they sit second to actually joint last in the Western Conference. They need to do something to push, and they signed 32-year-old Hector Herrera and a few low-level wingers. So it's a loss in the idea that they needed to actually do something, and they.
Yeah, not a lot of disagreement there. I very much like the signing of Hector Herrera, and from an MLS perspective, I just don't understand it for Houston, especially when your next 3 moves are to bring in like really young players. Because like Hector Herrera is 32 at this point, which he's still gonna have a few years left, but like gonna be 33 at the start of next season. Definitely getting older. Gotta wonder how many years left does he have? How many good years left does he have? Is it enough that like he could still produce at a high level when these young guys start to hit the ground? But I feel like this is the same situation as Charlotte, where they are pretty much saying like, okay, let's try again next season. We're gonna build up on some young guys and go at it again. They rotated out a lot of the guys that they didn't feel stuck with the team. So like Tyler Pasher, Derek Jones. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on a loss there though.
Yep, that's pretty easy. Maybe they'll be relevant next year. I doubt it.
Yeah, I feel like we say that every year.
I know. The second best team in LA.
The Zlatans.
The Zlatans, correct. Sitting just in a playoff spot, just barely, by the way. Gaston Brugman and Ricky Puig in, Ryan Ravelis, everybody else non-important. Ricky Puig, getting him on a TAM deal is a great move. Everybody has been talking bad about it because Eurosnobism is a disease. I like Gaston Brugman. He played very, very well in the game that I watched him play. Ryan Raveloson at a loss is not my favorite move. I would have liked to see if they could keep them and play them together. I don't think the money would have allowed it to happen. Plus, it allowed them to bring Ricky Puig in. We'll see how he adjusts to the league. It's a win, barely a win, but it's a win. They didn't lose too much, and they're still in playoff spots. I think they get a little bit better with Brugman and Puig in there. Raveloson is a loss. It's bearable.
I'm gonna start off by saying that I think the Ricky Puig's signing is fantastic. I think it's great for the league. It's especially great that they got him on a non-DP contract. Definitely opens up some more possibilities. But one thing I will say is like a very I feel like it's beginning to show kind of loss for them is they're watching their rival in the same city have insane pull like this whole window, this whole year, honestly. And you were the team that was known for this in the past. You brought in the David Beckhams, Robbie Keanes, Landon Donovans, and now you're watching your rival do the same thing while you're bringing in Eric Zavaleta and Gaston Brugman.
They are. Go ahead.
I'm not gonna call their window a loss because I think they improved overall and made enough improvements that they can still compete in the playoff chase. But I think that they're really losing that spark that they used to have, that pull, that like glamour that they used to have. And LAFC have just like scooped that up and completely run away with it.
My worry is that they are relying heavily on a winger set that has been extremely poor this season.
Grandsir and
Grandsir, Douglas Costa, and
don't even get me started on Douglas Costa.
I know, but that's my point.
That's borderline one of the worst transfers in history.
You've got three wingers, Raveloson gone. You've got three wingers in Costa, Grandsir, and what's his face, Cabral.
Yeah,
who have been nothing but poor. You've got Chicharito, who's just tapping in goals left and right. I would have liked to see them go out and use some money on a winger that isn't.
Unless they're switching up the formation. I mean, they do have Dejan Jovelic as well, who's been, when he gets game time, has been absolutely insane this season. But their midfield is pretty good, I feel like. You've got Brugman now in defensive mid, Ricky Puig, Marky Delgado, Efren Alvarez. Why not just build through the middle? Like, I know you brought in all these wingers, and you've invested heavily in them, but let's just switch it up. You might as well. It hasn't been working.
Yep. It's a win, but I agree with you in that they're sitting there watching their rivals absolutely blow the league up and just laughing about it.
I think it just hurts because of what they used to be able to do. Because they're watching LAFC do this and Toronto, and it's like that was you. You did it first. And then you've lost the ability to do it. I mean, you even did it somewhat recently. You brought in Zlatan. You even brought in Chicharito, which was a great signing. But I just feel like
you'll get Adam upset if you keep saying.
If I say it too many times, do you think he'll just appear on the podcast?
He'll just pop over my head.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're losing their pull. That's what I'll say.
They might, right? They're less flashy than before, but that's what happens. You gotta keep up with the times, right? Moving on. The best team in Texas.
The loss.
Wrong. Austin FC. Our friends in Austin have brought in Washington Corroso, Emiliano Rigoni, and finally have lost Ceciliano Dominguez. Ciliano Dominguez, 4 appearances, 2 goals, and then never got back into it. I believe he had some off the field issues, if I remember reading correctly. Washington Corozo, 1 assist so far in 45 minutes of play against the New York Red Bulls. A bicycle kick assist, I might add. Very nice. Excuse me. And our friend Rigoni hasn't played yet, but that is a massive, good signing from Sao Paulo. He is a game-changing attacker. You talk about trying to keep up with LAFC in this window. That is what you had to do. Love that move for them. I enjoy I shouldn't say enjoy. I like that they were able to move on from Dominguez, him being their first one. Their first DP, made a little bit sentimental, I'm sure, but happy to see him go. He had Rigoni, going back to Rigoni here, did play with Jersey at Zenit as well. You're gonna see this Austin team, who, if I check the standings here, I still believe lead the league in goals right now.
I think they're joint.
They're joint with LAFC. Yep. But you're gonna see this team absolutely blow up the way that they're attacking. Josh Wolf has them flying. Yeah, this is a good window for them. Happy with this.
I think it's a win in the window because I agree with you. I think Rigoni's a massive signing for them. I mean, it's only going to help their attack keep up with like the LAFCs. My concern is the back line. They haven't been bad by any means necessary. I mean, they've only conceded 36 goals, which in the Western Conference has been very good. Overall, still good. Probably not. I wouldn't know if I'd label it as very good, but they seem kind of thin. Definitely have a few center back choices here, but Nick Lima's the only right back I see here. Left back has Kolmanek and Jimenez. Even in midfield, there's like 5 midfielders listed here, or 6, I think. No, 5. 5 midfielders listed here, and one of them's a 17-year-old, which I think is Josh Wolf's son, I would guess. Owen Wolf. Yeah, it's got to be because he looks just like Tyler Wolf.
Well, didn't he come from the Atlanta Academy?
Owen Wolf? He could have.
Maybe.
Let me see. He did. He did come from the Atlanta Academy. But I'm just saying, I think Valencia and Ring are obviously going to be great teammates to put in front of a back line to help them defensively. I just worry a little bit that they're focusing too much on the attack. It's like they saw the issue from last year and then they've just gone like overkill with it. Like they were like, we are never going to miss another goal opportunity ever again. Like,
I think they saw Toronto FC and said, send. That's what they did.
Yeah, I mean, they're embracing MLS 4.0.
For sure, as you should.
Right? But the thing is, that differentiates them from Toronto is they're actually like good defensively. I just worry that they're a little thin. I worry that if something breaks down, they might like if an injury happens to a key guy or they start to like hit some bad form. I just worry about them defensively. But we know they're going to score goals, like 1 million goals. Still an overall win of a window.
I agree. Let's move on to the best team in Utah.
Utah. Well, seeing as how there's only one team in Utah, should be pretty easy.
Hey, there are plenty of teams in Utah. They're just not professional.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, let's talk RSA LA. RSL currently in the mix for the playoffs in 5th place. Some key additions listed on the MLS website: Danny Musovsky, Diego Luna, Brian Ojeda, and Brian Oviedo, Everton legend. Well, Everton, Louise, and the Snake have left the club. Sorry, I get carried away with that. So here are the massive moves. I love Diego Luna. If you watched him play for El Paso, it is massive. It is a massive, massive signing because that guy would have gone straight from El Paso to a second division Spanish side or whatever. He would have been one of those moves. He's a fantastic little player, and he will be successful. Danny Masowski gives them some depth up top. Ojeda, their U22 signing on loan from Nottingham Forest, will give them some midfield depth, allow them to attack a little bit better. And then Costa Rican international left back Brian Oviedo. Let me tell you, the fact that he was able to win Everton 3 points against Man United away in 2012 with an 88th minute volley into the bottom left corner against David De Gea in his prime makes him the top 5 left back of all time. Don't at me. Don't do it. It's just facts. So it's obviously a dub because Oviedo, right?
Of course.
No, so the Luna was a great move. Musovski, I think, gives depth. I don't think he'll be great. But it gives him depth. He was good at LAFC in a system. I don't think ours will have that same system. Losing Everton Luiz.
They don't need any more depth at striker. They have plenty of guys at striker already.
They do. I forgot that Anderson Julio came back permanently.
They also have Rubio Rubin, Sergio Cordova. Bobby
Cordova's
was hurt,
loan.
but
Cordova's on loan.
yeah, but he's still here for the season.
Yep.
Musovski isn't like we're going to sign him for the future.
Well, he got traded from LAFC. So some Everton Luiz transferred out. I think that hurts a little bit. I'm sure the Ojeda will fill that role a little bit, allowing players to be a little bit more creative. Jonathan Menendez on loan to Velez Sarsfield. And then David Ochoa over to DC United, which they didn't need him. He wasn't in the plans. I like it. I don't think it's a massive win, but I'm going to call it a win because Diego Luna's upside is massive. And Brian Oviedo.
Of course, Brian Oviedo. I'm calling this one a loss for me. I think this team overperformed at the start of the season and has been kind of falling back to earth. And the rest of their schedule for the rest of the season is brutal. I just looked it up. They got Dallas, Minnesota, LAFC, Austin, FCC, LA Galaxy, and Portland. The only other game I didn't mention was DC. That schedule is brutal to end the year. And I do not think this team, in the form that they're in and the quality that they have, is making the playoffs. I think that schedule is too rough for them to make the playoffs. I think they've overperformed. They haven't really scored a lot of goals this season. They've been relying on the defense. I don't think they did enough in this window to like save their playoff chances. They brought in I agree that Diego Luna is a great signing. Definitely one for the future. Musovski, Oviedo, Jefferson Savarino. I just don't think these are guys that are going to save their chances at the playoffs.
Who do you think is going to fill in Seattle, Portland are the only two I can see doing that. I don't think Vancouver pushes for that. I don't think Colorado. We just talked about Colorado.
All you need is one of them to do it. One of Seattle or Portland.
Well, you also need
even one of
LAFC
Vancouver
to jump them.
What'd you say?
You also need Nashville and LA Galaxy to jump.
I think they can.
I think you're crazy.
I mean, did you hear their schedule? I mean, they're playing. Well, for one, they're playing every team that's above them right now, 1 through 4, which are obviously not going to be easy games. Those teams are really good. Then they got to play a really massively important game against Galaxy. Another super important game against Portland. And I think there was a Seattle game in there. No Seattle. But they have FCC as well, who have been feisty this year. Not an easy win anymore. I really think this team, with the schedule they have remaining, is going to struggle big time to get into the playoffs or hold their playoff spot. And I will fully admit if I'm wrong, because I was completely wrong on them at the start of the season. I really thought this team was going to flop big time, and they've overperformed. And one last thing I do want to say on their window. Say what you want about David Ochoa. The fact that they sold him for as little as they did is a massive loss for them. I mean, his stock was very high at one point. Like,
What was the value?
I'd have to look. I'll double check. But he was making a huge name for himself at one point. And then it was just like he just got cut out from the team completely this season, and his value plummeted. His stock at its highest was actually where they have it right now, 880,000 on transfer market. But still, they got what, 75K for him?
Did they? I don't know what the value was.
I'm pretty sure they got like pennies on the dollar for him. I just think like he was a young up and coming goalkeeper with a lot of potential, and they could have sold big on him and then still gone with McMath like they did. And instead they wasted it, and now they got nothing for it.
But the issue is once he switched nationalities, his value plummeted. Who wants to take a Mexican?
His value plummeted when they decided not to play him anymore.
I think you are giving Mexico too much credit, which I don't like.
Okay, you're right.
Thank you.
It's all Mexico's fault.
Correct. Moving on to our 10th team, former Supporters Shield champion, the Revs.
I was going to say San Jose.
No. Giacomo Veroni, we spoke about him earlier. Christian McCoon in from Ube. ITS, Ismael Treasury-Shroudy from LAFC. Clement Diop and Nacho Gil, brother of Carl's. What's his name? Carl's Hill.
That's some nepotism if I've ever seen it.
Out the door, Adam Buxa, we spoke about that as well. Josie Altidore back into Mexico. Future USMNT and Qatar player Sebastian Lletget on his way to Dallas. And Arnaud Traustason was terminated as well just a few days ago. I like the moves of getting MLS depth. I think Giacomo Veroni and Ismael Treasury-Shroudy will give good attacking options. McCoon gives them some center back depth, which they've been needing this season. Diop gives them another choice in goal in case Petrovic goes down. And Nacho Gil, I don't know. Red Bull have a history of signing the brother of really good players. So I've seen how that works out firsthand.
It's the Red Bull way.
The Red Bull way. They want to be more like us. I get it. I don't blame them. Josie Altidore didn't do much. I'm hoping Buxa and Veroni are a one-for-one switch. Lletget in the midfield, interesting, and didn't really replace him. And Arnaud Traustason, not too much. I'm going to say it's a loss. I think you lost a ton of goals out of Adam Buxa, even though you got good money for him. Josie Altidore, at his best, could be very good. Sebastian Lletget, obviously, in the plans for the men's national team for a reason. Thank you for that reaction. Obviously, he was in the past plans of Greg for a while for a reason. The guy can play the game. Did get good money out of him. And then Traustason. I still think it's a loss. I don't know if Veroni's a straight swap. McCoon's okay. Clement Diop isn't going to do much. I don't think they got better this window. It's a loss for me. Cheap.
I think it's a win. I'll say I'll disagree with you on that one. I don't think the loss of Lletget is really going to be that massive because they set the points record last season without him. And yes, they lost a couple of people that they had in that team, like Buxa, for example. But I really like the replacement of Giacomo Veroni. I think they sold high on Buxa. I think they got a really good price for him.
Agreed.
And invested it well. So and the depth signings, like you said, Christian McCown is great to bring in. Sorry, Christian McCoon. ITS is great to bring in as well. Clement Diop. I really think they set themselves up to make. I mean, they have to get healthy. obviously. I know they've had some injury issues throughout the season, like Gustavo Bo, who's out right now. I think if they get healthy, they get consistent again, they'll be right back fighting for a playoff spot.
The only reason why I have this as a loss is for the short term. I think Veroni probably pans out well long term. But right now, he's been here for over almost 2 months now. He's made 58 minutes worth of appearances. So short term, I don't think they got better overall. In the long term, I think probably. But right now, I'm going to say it's still.
I think a lot of it rides on how Giacomo Veroni pans out. I think he's the deciding factor on whether or not this is a good or bad window. But I still think it's a good window for them. I think they did well with the sale of Buxa, and I still think Giacomo Veroni will pan out, and the team will be fine, even with like losing Sebastian Lletget as well.
The other one, Nacho Gil, might turn into something too. But I know he's a brother, and we make that joke a lot, but he's the same profile, to my understanding, of his brother. So put them together and see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. I think that's just bringing my brother. I'm missing home.
We interviewed somebody from this team.
San Jose?
No. I should rephrase that. We interviewed somebody who supports this team.
LAFC.
Montreal.
I
didn't realize.
You didn't specify this season.
Sure.
There's not much to talk about here.
Not much to talk about except the fact that by the end of the year, they'll be down their best player.
Facts.
So Four comes in, gives a little bit of striker depth to a team that actually has been playing very well at top over the last couple of weeks. They are sitting currently in second in the East with 47 goals scored. They do have Jordi Mihailovic sold to AZ Alkmaar, but he's back for the rest of the season, to my understanding. I don't know. They've got, if you look at their team, they've got all-star center back Kamal Miller, which don't need to upgrade on that. You got an all-star.
Yeah, of course.
I still can't believe that. We look at this side here. Where else could they have gone if they needed it? Again, second in the East. They really don't need to upgrade much, right?
How about go and get your Jordy replacement?
But you don't need them right now.
Sure, but why not get someone that like we said for so many of these people, it takes half a season to get settled. What better half a season to get settled than right now, where you have no pressure on you?
Okay, that's not totally unfair. The other thing is Ismail Kone is probably out the door very soon. There was a $6 million agreement, like seconds away from being finalized, and it fell through. I think we talked to
Patrick.
I wanted to say Ryan because I'm looking at Ryan Spalding's name right here.
You loser. Can you remember the people that take their time to come on our podcast?
So it's not that I didn't remember. I'm sorry. It's that I'm reading names here on screens to try and keep up with what we're doing. And I see Ryan Spalding right here. And I'm like, his name isn't Ryan, but it was all that I had in my head. Sorry. He talked about his wingbacks, right? The wingbacks that they don't really have. Could have gone out and gotten a left wing back to go opposite of Alice Johnston. Could have gone and sent Zachary Broguillard somewhere. That's, the way it is. But again, kind of in the way that you were talking about teams changing their, Charlotte going in and mixing everything up and then saying basically, okay, the playoffs are out. If you're in second place in a relatively tight race, by the way, Red Bull get on a run, Orlando get on a run, they're right up your butt. Why go and change things, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's a loss. I hear what you're saying, like why change things, and they've played very well this season. And I think they've put themselves in a really good position where things would have to go like catastrophically wrong for them to not make the playoffs at this point. But I just don't think this team is championship good. Like if Toronto sneaks in, I don't think this team beats Toronto. I don't think this team beats LAFC. I don't think they beat Austin. I don't think they beat Philly. It's a tough question to say like what do they need to get to that level? I'm not entirely sure. I think you would need to like hold on to like a Jordy and like give him someone else that's like Jordy level quality to help him out. Like go get a Drogba, like what Drogba was to the team, and then have Jordy with them on the team supporting the attack and Kyoto as well. Then I think okay, maybe they do have a legitimate chance. Even though the numbers say they've scored plenty of goals and that the defense is the issue, which they obviously, if even in that case, they made zero attempt at making the defense better. So I'm just going to say it's a loss. I think teams are going to keep putting the pressure on them. I think they're going to slide down the standings a little bit, but I think they've put themselves in a position where they'll make the playoffs like comfortably.
Yeah. Like I said, there were moves that they could have made, didn't necessarily need to make. Again, Zach Rogiard has 400 minutes. You know what his ceiling is.
Yeah, next year is going to be big for them. We're going to have to see how they spend that money because they're going to get good money for Jordy, going to get good money for Kone. How do you spend it to replace him?
Yep.
But that's a question for later.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, again, I don't think it's not like a devastating loss. There was just a lot more that they could have done to compete with the Toronto movement, the LAFC, the Austins. Yep. They could have done more, for sure.
Yep.
Our best friends.
FCC? No, Minnesota.
Loons. Loons.
They're my best friend. They don't like you.
All righty, let's talk about the Loons, the mighty Loons. In comes Alan Benitez, a defender from Cerro Porteño. In comes Mender Garcia, a forward from Once Caldas. And in comes Jonathan Gonzalez. Hello. Remember that name?
Hash from the past.
Man, remember when him going to Mexico was the worst thing?
Oh, yeah, I do.
United States since
it was like the end of the world.
Oh, my gosh. And now he doesn't play for anybody. Amazing. On loan from Monterrey, Chase Gasper sent to LA, and Adrian Hunu sent to Angels. Once again, I have no idea how the heck Minnesota stays relevant when they have literally one player. But here we are. John Gonzalez is, I'm assuming, an upgrade. I literally have not watched him play since he decided to play for Mexico because snakes get rakes. That's a saying, right?
I don't know. Sure.
We're making it. You're looking here, you got Reynoso, of course, Asani Dotson, Robin Lode. I mean, he's not going to break into a starting 11 in that role. Could they have gone out? You've gotten Mender Garcia. Don't know quite exactly where he fits in. He made a 19-minute sub appearance. He was okay. Jonathan Gonzalez also made 2 sub appearances for 7 total minutes. Both of them have been subpar. Hunu doesn't really hurt them as much, but it's a wash. I'll say, what's Alan Benitez up to? Is he any good? That's really what I'm up to, right? I don't think they really moved anything.
Seems to be all right.
Yeah, I'll give him a win. Sure.
I'm gonna give him a loss. I don't think this team improved or like got worse, but and don't get me wrong, they will still most likely comfortably make the playoffs. I just don't think this team is good enough right now to challenge for a title. I don't like, obviously at this point they're not winning Supporter Shield, and I just don't think they're good enough to win Cup either. I mean, granted, anything can happen in Cup, right? It's just who gets hot at the right time for the most part. but I just don't think this team is good enough to win one of those two trophies this year, nor next year at the moment. Like, I don't think they've set themselves up for like massively for the future. Like, they don't have some young stud that's like just breaking onto the scene. I just, they're a good team. They'll make the playoffs like they did last year. And that's probably about it. That's why I'm going to say loss, because I feel like the bar has been raised with the windows that LAFC and Toronto had, and with the teams that like NYC and Austin have put together. So I think you got to keep up with the bar. Otherwise, if you stay below the bar, which I think Minnesota has done with this window, it's a loss for me.
Listen, I would like nothing more than to see Minnesota drop out of the playoffs. You know that.
Well,
But
that's not going to happen. I don't think they're dropping out of the playoffs. I just don't think they've done enough to keep up.
I think what kind of puts me off, I think Alan Benitez is good. The right back core has been not great for Montreal. It's been one of their points of focus. So that's a good spot there. Mender Garcia is occupying a designated player slot.
Oh, really?
We talked about which player is coming in the secondary transfer window that Minnesota is going to use to stay in the playoffs. That was not the guy that came to mind. So the money there doesn't make a ton of sense, but he can be bought down, so he won't be there forever. But I don't know, just a little tricky for me.
Yeah.
I still say it's a win. I think they've improved, but not by much. Future MLS Cup champions are next.
Anybody that's not Red Bull.
We're the future MLS Cup champions. We're gonna send the entire team overseas. Alrighty. We have to talk about this.
Yes.
You suck.
How else are we going to talk about Jason Pendant leaving? It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
And David Jensen with his hat.
David Jensen's
His hat's gone.
No, I'm not upset David Jensen's gone. I'm upset David Jensen's hat is gone.
You got to bring in Dean Henderson now. That's the only way to fix it. Bring in Dean Henderson and his hat.
All right. I'll speak to this from a fan's point of view. We brought in a bunch of players. We lost a bunch of players who didn't matter. We didn't do enough. This is a failure of a window. So we'll go through some specifics now. Our most impactful signing this season has been Steven Sorda, a 16-year-old Ugandan center mid from Red Bull 2. Kyle Duncan has been okay in his return on loan from Ustende. Elias Manuel is on loan till the end of the season. He just got in the country, so he will play 10 games. Assuming we make the playoffs, maybe he'll get 11 games because we're not getting out of game one. Tyler Pasher gives us some depth on the wing in our kind of 5-player wing backs. And then Matt Nasidia, who has finally cleared the Naval Academy's waiver process, so he doesn't have to serve. He can play. Just joined the team yesterday. David Jensen's hat is gone. Heartbreaking. Ashley Fletcher played 4 games, sent back. Jason Pendant decided to start playing for Gerard Struber before being transferred to the 2nd division of France. Lucas Monzon played 1 game, sent out and terminated his loan. This team needed a designated player striker, period. One who has a proven record of scoring goals at a high rate at a high level. That's all they needed. The defense is fine. The goalkeeper is fine. The center mids are young and fit the system and whatever. But for the love of God, if I see one more Red Bull striker who cannot hit the frame from 4 yards away, I'm just not going to watch soccer. I just can't do it.
That's not true. You're gonna watch, and we know you're gonna watch.
Quiet. It's game after game of the same nonsense. It is brutal to watch. Eventually, we started clicking, and we got a win against some bum team in 5 stripes or whatever.
It's not that hard to do right now.
It just feels lost. It just feels silly, and everybody knew what we had to do. And instead of going out and getting a proven striker, we got a 20-year-old second division striker who has 18 appearances in 2 years and has scored twice.
The Red Bull way, baby.
The Red Bull. The Red Bull. Oh man, I think I'm gonna make that my profile picture at some point. That way anytime I get upset, I'm just gonna put the Red Bull right here.
You don't have to tweet anything. Just tweet like a period. That's it. The Red Bull will appear.
Oh, I tweet the Red Bull consistently.
I know, but if you make it your profile picture, you just have to tweet and then it's there.
We love the Red Bull, but the Red Bull doesn't love us.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on a loss here.
It's a loss. It's a massive loss.
I don't think you guys got worse. I think you did get slightly better. I think Pasher adds a little bit of depth. I like bringing back Duncan, but again, yeah, I agree with you. I just don't. Same thing with Minnesota. I just don't think you kept up with the bar. I agree. I also agree with you on the striker thing. You need someone who can finish in Patrick Klimala's spot because Klimala can't do it. That man has so many.
And here's the deal. By the way, Freak, sorry, I'm in the middle of dealing with some soccer stuff from the team. But here's the deal. Patrick Klimala can do it. By the way, Patrick Klimala didn't have enough service throughout the year, and if you watched him play over the last 2 games, when we finally started serving him the ball, he created chances. Now, granted, he didn't score any of those chances, but
isn't that kind of the job of the striker?
There is nothing here that tells me he can't do it on a cold, rainy night. So it just hasn't happened. The issue is it needs to happen. So I'm saying that if we sent Patrick Klimala anywhere, I would put money down, and a significant amount of money for a graduate student making pennies. I would put money down he is successful somewhere else. I would, genuinely. I just don't know it's going to happen here, which hurts because we spent good money on him.
I don't know. I think you're giving him too much credit. I mean, his I don't remember if it was last year or 2 years ago. I looked it up at some point, and his like XG to goals ratio was like very bad.
These dumb stats that only matter when they work in Newark. I know.
It's not a dumb stat.
They're dumb when they go against my points.
Yeah, you did make that pretty clear that you don't like stats that go against your agenda.
Correct. It's a loss, plain and simple. They may have gotten a little bit better. They addressed some defender depth, but goodness me, did they need a striker and they missed
one. Who's next?
The owners of the world's smallest banner.
Nice.
Oh, I need to get another chair so I can have my whiteboard again now that I have it here.
We're staying in New York.
We are. It is a trip to the ballpark, a very quick one, as Tati Castellanos was sent out and Matthias Pellegrini was brought in. This is a win of a window for me because Tati finally got sold or loaned to be sold, which was on the cards for a while. And I don't understand why this didn't happen 2 seasons ago or last season, because everybody knew that at the end of the day, when you were asking that much money for them, the only person who was going to spend that much money for Tati Castellanos was the people who owned him anyway.
Yeah.
They were just going to buy him and loan him somewhere else, right? That's just the way it's going to work. It's just an accounting ledger now. You know that. Accounting.
It's a money laundering scheme.
Literally. Matthias Pellegrini is a great addition. He'll fit in very well with Gabby Pereira, Hebert, Tyus Magno, Thiago Andrade. He will fit in great with them on the baseball field. I think he'll be very successful. It's a win for me. They get money. They get the move that they needed for Tati, and they replace him with a Pellegrini.
This is a really tough one for me on whether or not it's been a win or a loss window. I think it's good that they got money for Castellanos, but I also feel like it just feels like they cheated to get the money. Like they clearly couldn't command the money that they were looking for, and they just got bailed out by their parent club.
Correct.
And that's going to be a massive hole. Like you've got to hope that Hebert or someone else can slide into that role. I mean, Hebert's your only striker on transfer market. I mean, I don't know if other guys can slide in there, but he's the only man listed as a striker on the roster that's left. And he's also coming off a pretty like big injury recently.
So Gabby Pereira is somebody who will slide into that spot and has played very well since joining the team.
Okay. He's listed as a right winger, so I didn't know.
No, I know. But again, right wingers are strikers, right? They're center mids, they're strikers. They all play the same position on the base. You've got Tyus Magno, who might play as a false nine. Pellegrini might slide in there. And of course, you can't forget our friend Maximo Carrizo, the 14-year-old. Listen, there are players who can play in that spot. And even then, you throw a false nine in there, and those players know how to play that system. So they will be fine. I think it's a good win.
Convince me, because I kind of agree with you that I think Pellegrini would fit the system well, but I just don't see him getting game time other than just being like a rotational piece.
Well, that's right. As you get deep into the season, you need.
But like, how do I see that this team has improved and like kept up with the rest of the league? Like, how do I feel that way when they sold?
They don't need to keep up with the rest of the league. They need to keep up with the top three, which they did. You're telling me Montreal had a better window than them?
No, of course not.
Are you telling me
that's why I said New York City will jump Montreal. But I don't think
Philly have a better window than them.
They probably had an equal window, which is why they're not going to catch Philly.
They don't need to catch Philly. They need to make the playoffs.
Why? Why not? What's the point?
Quiet.
No, don't tell me to be quiet.
Quiet.
What's the point?
Are we bringing our mics out? Quiet.
Yeah, we are.
Quiet.
I'm getting heated now. I got the mic closer.
Listen to me. What do you very, very proudly say is the most important trophy in MLS?
I've said this before.
What is it?
I only say MLS Cup because it gets you mad.
Quiet. Answer it. What is the most important one?
Supporters Shield.
Well, that is a 360 or a 180.
I only tell you MLS Cup because it gets you mad.
All right.
Because we have it and you don't. But like clearly it's Supporters Shield. Like hello, it's like a 40 game tournament essentially. Like you're finding the best of the best in 40 games versus 4 or 5 games.
Okay, so here's the deal. Everybody else thinks it's this massive cup thing. Okay? Where do you need to finish to win the cup?
You need to win all your playoff games.
Correct, but where do you need to finish to make the playoffs?
7th or higher.
Correct. So all they need to do is do enough to finish 7th or higher, which they did.
But if you're just doing whatever you need to make the playoffs, that doesn't mean you're going to be a good enough team to win through the playoffs.
Okay. Were they a good enough team to win through the playoffs last year?
Yes. When they had Tati, who was
wrong.
Who was the golden boot.
Wrong. They weren't. They got lucky by playing a 30-day.
Okay, you're right. They did get lucky with Philly.
But they still got there. They don't need their fun.
I think the team is fine. I'm not saying the team isn't fine. The team is great on paper. They're young, they're talented, they're exciting to watch. I just don't think like this window in particular is like one where I'd say they were a winner.
Okay, we're going to agree to disagree.
I can't call it a loss either. Like I'm kind of just stuck with a wash.
Call it a win. If you can't call it a loss, call it a win.
I can't call it a win. Fine. I will call it a win. If
it doesn't walk like a duck and it doesn't talk like a duck, don't call it a duck. But if it does, then call it a duck. I don't get what we're missing here. You're making things way more complicated than you need to.
It's like it's got duck features, but it's not like fully a duck.
I'm done with you. That was the halfway point. So if we decide to cut it for a full a 2-episode thing, thank you for listening, and make sure you check us out everywhere you go on social media. And wherever you get your podcasts, so you know when we go live. Make sure to comment that Connor is silly. But if we didn't cut it, we're gonna keep going. All right, y'all. That is it for us. We are finished up here with episode 39. Be sure to stay tuned for episode 40, where we do part 2 of this next time. I don't know if this is going out on Monday or Wednesday. We'll figure it out. Or if we even do 2 episodes anymore. Do we do that? I don't know. Make sure you follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you know when we post this episode, and follow along so you know when the next episode, part 2, comes out, if your team wasn't mentioned. Make sure you're following us on all forms of social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, so you know when we go and post clips, in case you want to just watch a certain section of this episode, especially the part of me yelling at Connor for being dumb. Those are my favorite parts. And then until then, we'll see you next time for part 2, episode 40. See ya.